probably the worst story for them today was that their cabinet has started leaking. 2 weeks into it, and the national cabinet has started leaking. Remember, every time Luxon says, no, that stays here. Well, within 2 weeks, it started leaking. And National promised to follow advice and follow research. And when it comes to the fair pay agreement, they seem to be following Business New Zealand. Have a listen.
Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening. News Hub has obtained a leaked cabinet paper about the coalition government's plans to repeal fair pay agreements.
It reveals the move would disproportionately impact Māori, Pasifika and young people. It shows the workplace relations
no shit, Sherlock. What are we thinking?
Minister is at odds with official advice. Political reporter Amelia Wade has the exclusive details.
The day fair pay agreements were passed was a big day for workers.
Union power! Union power!
And scrapping the deals dumped the FPAs was a big campaign promise for National, and they'll now be gone by Christmas as part of the coalition's 100-day plan.
It's something that we opposed in opposition, as did the other parties in the coalition as well, and it's something that we want to push on and actually get repealed.
But there's been a major leak about those plans. News Up has obtained a cabinet paper and advice from Treasury. Does that worry you?
Again, I'm not aware of that, so I can't.
But does that worry you that you've been in power a week and confidential papers are leaking?
Again, I'm not going to get into that, given I don't know anything about it.
The two papers reveal the Workplace Relations Minister Brooke van Velden is ignoring official advice. Treasury told the minister women, young people, Māori and Pacific people could have disproportionately benefited from fair pay agreements. But van Velden told Cabinet that she did not believe a blunt tool like FPAs would have been successful.
Can I just say, and I don't want to be disparaging and said to be a misogynist or anything, but what the fuck does a 31-year-old know when these people who have been doing this all their life, I mean, any 31, male, female, anyone, who's never had to go through these kinds of problems at the work or on the factory floor or whatever has to go through, to actually say that she does not consider that a blunt tool? Who the fuck are you? What experience do you have to make that kind of statement when the experts are telling you, this is this example. We don't have to accept when a minister or any politician says that water is dry, that it's actually dry. We know that it's wet. The experts know that it's wet. Stop fucking trying to tell us that it's dry. And this has been leaked. I would love to know who by. And obviously there are some people inside that cabinet who do not agree with the direction that this is going to do to young people and minimum wage workers, Chewie.
Like expert advice and advice from departments is incredibly important for MPs because they don't necessarily have a background in what they might be looking at from a portfolio point of view. Like you bring up her experience. It's important, right? Does she have any direct experience with fair pay agreements or contract negotiations or workplace stuff? No, but that's what she's dealing with. So you would hope that someone in that could acknowledge, hey, look, I have no direct experience here, so I will listen to people that do. I will look at the official advice I'm given and then as a leader make a decision based on that. And here it seems she's going diametrically away from that because that is what her party stands for. It's a nightmare. And if that is, like, this was one of my concerns when we saw that an ACT MP was in charge of workplace relations. And this is the big driving thing behind something that I was saying last week. Just to remind you guys, join a fucking union that we are going to be dealing with. And it's hard to take workers' rights back from a place where they are now. But it certainly seems like advances in workplace relations and fair pay and things like minimum wage increases and that sort of thing, the brake is on. Like, she is going to lock that shit up. And as much as they talk about the cost of living crisis, if we're looking at wage freezes or, hey, look, we're not going to put up minimum wage this year or that sort of thing, you can guarantee that these supermarkets are still going to be crying inflation. The banks are still going to be holding their interest rates up, and you're going to be paying more for your groceries, your mortgage payments, your rent, everything else But I'm sorry, minimum wage increases, business doesn't like that. So we're not doing that this year, is what we can look forward to.
I also think, I'm looking up because someone said in the chat she was an economist. I wouldn't say she's an economist. She got a Bachelor of Commerce at university, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Commerce. She worked for lobbying firm Exceltium, and then she was a lobbyist for and a staffer for ACT. So here's another example of the right always screaming about these lifelong politicians who have never experienced anything in real life, who have never had a real job, who've gone straight to university into politics. Hello, this is basically it.
That's a straight pipeline to a right-wing political party.
I mean, she graduated in 2016, and she was working in 2019 as a staffer and a lobbyist for the ACT Party. Just again, holding them to their own standard. Who are you to make decisions and be so ardent against the experts that's going to impact the people who you know nothing about? I mean, even your constituency is one of the wealthiest parts of Auckland, down by Mission Bay, St Heliers, that area. It's like to be so arrogant to say, I do not consider that a blunt tool. Who says? Why are you saying that when all the experts and all the people who know the numbers and have worked this out are saying the opposite? Anyway, we'll play a bit more.
We just don't believe that FPAs are actually good to actually creating good business environment and therefore good long-term certainty for employees.
Yeah, good business environment. Good business environment.
Bus drivers, hospo workers, security guards, cleaners, early childhood workers and supermarket staff have all had FPAs already approved. And on the whole, FPAs were expected to boost wages by up to $600 million a year.
Hundreds of thousands of workers, and the officials' advice is that we're talking about.
I was going to stop this, but there's one really important part to hear, and that's to hear about who the government said they consulted with and who was really consulted with. Just listen out for that.
Hundreds of millions of dollars overall would be lost from them.
The leaked Treasury advice said some employers stood to benefit from repealing FBAs as they now face lower wage costs. Van Velden also told her cabinet colleagues there had been consultation with the Council of Trade Unions and Business NZ,
Really?
while Treasury said there had been no consultation. In fact, Newshub's confirmed Business NZ was consulted, but the unions weren't.
It reveals a lot about the character and priorities of this government. In a cost of living crisis that they said they were going to resolve, they've deliberately gone after the wages and conditions of poor and vulnerable workers.
We don't think that actually adds value, adding costs to businesses that ultimately lead to higher prices and more inflation.
And
Inflation
I'm sick
might
of your
be
face
amazing,
again, so you're going away. I am sick of your face again. So there you go. They didn't talk to Treasury, and they said they talked to the CTU when they didn't, but they did talk to Business New Zealand, Chewy.
I am shocked. Absolutely shocked that that's what it is. Like, join a union. I think there's a couple of songs. There's a couple of songs I could play about joining a union. I think it's a good idea. Look, I was talking about this with some workmates of mine, right? Look, I work in an industry and for a business where I don't have to worry about a fair pay agreement, But the idea with joining a union, and this will come up a lot if you talk to anybody on the left of the spectrum, is it's not necessarily for you. It's solidarity. It's making sure that those people, and look who they listed, like nurses, care workers, bus drivers, supermarket workers, people that work in hospitality, fast food and retail, all these guys that are usually minimum wage. Now, if you're someone in there and you're trying to negotiate your contract and your pay rate with a massive corporation or a much bigger entity, who do you think has more power in that negotiation? Do you have the army of high-priced lawyers? Do you have to worry about them paying their rent, so they've got to come up with a quick agreement? No. So you join a union and you have more people at your back. You have all the people in the jobs like you that are trying to get the same thing. And that's one of the many ways that we can regress the power imbalance, that the people in the middle, Luxon believes in us, the squeezed middle, the low and middle income earners. That stuff makes a difference. Chris Luxon doesn't give a shit about you.
So
you're a bumper sticker.
this
You're
is
a
all.
slogan.
This is also the time that Labor in particular, but I won't say the left in general because the Greens are there, but Labor in particular. Remember, we were advising them to do this 18 months ago. That Labor in particular can go, yes, National, you can have the CEOs. We will be the party of the factory floor workers. We will be the party of the low to middle income workers. That's where we'll sit ourselves. We don't care about the CEOs anymore. This is the time because all these policy changes or policies that are coming in are going to help the business owners. And they potentially, I'll say potentially, giving some credit to some business owners, but potentially can fuck over and screw over the business workers, the employed.
That keep this country going.
Yeah.
The people that do the hard work, the people that deliver things, the people that cook the food, that clean the things.